Chuki beat.
Hello and welcome to Back to the Basics. We are here. David is not. David had his son had a birthday today and he couldn't make it. So so I'm filling in for him. And there's David right now in the chat. Yeah, that bastard leaving me hanging here. Yeah. So
hi, David.
Hello, David, and hello to Jeff.
Everybody.
Jeff Lawson, he's in the chat there too. Welcome. So, Russell, Lewis, what's been up? Everything going good?
Yeah, everything okay. As David couldn't make it, we're here to fill his place. And hopefully we can teach you something about how to make single flavor testing.
Yeah. So, Russell, how's it been, buddy?
Yes, sir. It's been everything's pretty good on my end. Just taking it day by day.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all we can do.
That's right.
Great.
So, we got James Brady in the chat here too. Welcome, James. So today we're going to talk about probably one of the most important parts in recipe development, and that's single flavor testing and flavor notes. Now, over the last 4 episodes, we've talked about where to get your equipment, where to get your flavorings, where to get your VG, PG, your NIC. We've also covered all the flavors, how to input your flavors into your inventory, how to use the e-juice calculator in all the flavors, and we've shown you how to mix up a recipe and also how to tweak a recipe so that it fits your taste better. Taking a simple recipe and just maybe adding biscuit to it to kind of give it a little more texture and stuff. So that's kind of the progression of a beginning mixer, is to start with a simple recipe and go to a more complex recipe. But before you can start creating your own recipes, you have to understand your flavors. Now, I can't stress this enough. If you do not understand and know what your flavors taste like, it's impossible to come up with really good recipes. And so that's what we're going to show today.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if I can add something,
sure, go ahead.
For you to develop a recipe that you are going to like and that you pretend you're going to be your all-day vape, you have to know everything about the flavors that you're going to use, how it tastes, how it in the inhale, in the exhale, the mouthfeel, the percentages that you should use, and how that flavor pairs with other flavors.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can cover all this today.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're just going to show you what we use, what most of us use in the DIY community. The program that we use to take our flavor notes, and we're also going to actually live mix a single flavor here and tell you, kind of show you how to input the information in and see what it tastes like to us and put those flavor notes in there. So, Lewis, do you want to bring up the OneNote?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay.
Just give me a sec to share my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we can. Can you increase the size just a little bit? Probably not, can you?
Is it bigger? No, I don't know. I can.
Okay.
I can't make it bigger. Sorry. And sorry, it's in Portuguese, but that's nothing I can do about it.
That's fine.
But everything I'm going, everything I'm going to do, you can do it. And I'm going to do it in English. So here in the lower left corner, you can create a new notebook.
Yeah. So
this plus sign.
So this program is called.
Sorry.
So this program is called
okay,
OneNote. Go ahead, Lewis.
It comes free with Windows 10. So if you have Windows 10, you have this exactly this very same program in your PC. One great feature is you can use it on your phone too, and it automatically, if you have a Microsoft account, it automatically synchronizes whatever you write on your PC. It automatically synchronizes on your phone.
Yeah,
that's a great feature because you can write it wherever you want it, and you can read it afterwards wherever you want it. You can read it on your PC or on your phone. So suppose this is completely blank. You're opening this for the first time. For you to start a new notebook, you just have to press this plus sign on the lower left corner, and pops up a window asking you to give a name to your notebook. Let's suppose in this case we will name it Back to Basics B2B Flavor Book, and you press create. Okay, and now you have a blank notebook. You have here on the left, you can choose between whatever notebooks you have already. You have this one that you're going to put your flavor notes. Then in every notebook, it's divided in sections. It already comes up with one section, and then each section is divided in pages, and you have to, as long you are going to testing different flavors, you're building this up. So what I suggest, you can create sections for every brands, the flavor brands. For instance, you can change the name. Sorry. How do you rename it?
I think you just double click on the tab.
Yeah, I think so.
No, not double clicking. No, sorry. Maybe here. No, here is for the page name. Sorry, guys. I'm used to work on the
try
to
try adding another section and see if you can name it.
For instance, if I add another section, okay. If I add another section, it already asks me for a name. So for instance, let's say Capella. And let me delete this one. Okay. It's a way to go around it. And Capella, and another section, for instance, for flavor art. And then another section for TPA. That's what we are covering today, because we are going to make a test with the vanilla bean ice cream. Yes. So as I told you, now we have 3 sections, each section for these brands: Capella, Flavor Art, and TPA. And then each section, so for each brand, you can have multiple pages. I suggest that each page for each flavor. So in this case, we are going to test vanilla bean ice cream. Sorry for the red underlines, because it's in English and it's not recognizing. And suppose you are going to testing some other maybe sweet cream. Oh, sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
So in maybe 6 months' time, you have this with lots of brands, and each brand with lots of flavors that you flavor test, and you won't forget what you tasted at that time. So in this page, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to mention to the guys in the chat, I'm sorry that we're lagging so much. My internet sucks. There's not much I can do about it. So I apologize for that, and maybe one day I'll get fiber in my house. We'll see.
Okay, then for vanilla bean ice cream in the test, what are we going to write down? We suggest these topics. I'm not going to write them all down. I'll have here written, so I'm just going to copy paste.
Yeah, so the reason that we feel like that a person needs to go to these lengths to flavor test is because if you don't do the flavor tests, you're not going to know what percentage to use in a mix. You're not going to know what it tastes like. You're not going to know the overall essence of that flavor. It's just so important, and I know a lot of DIYers out there that make their own juice. This is probably the most tedious and the hardest part of it. Nobody really wants to do this part because it is work. Making delicious recipes, that's fun, but to be able to do that, this is a process that most DIYers that want to develop their own recipes have to do. Now, you don't necessarily have to use this program. You can use other programs that's out there. There's Evernote. You can even use a pad and a pencil. You know, whatever works for you. The reason that we suggest using this one or one like this is so that if you want to search for a certain flavor or a certain note in a flavor that you're looking for, you can do a search in this program and you can go right to it. That's why we suggest using something like this. It's more organized and you can index it so much easier.
So I was going to say, we suggest for each flavor, you cover all these topics. So the percentage that you mix. As a rule, we can use the 5% rule. What is the 5% rule? Is for Capella, Flavor West, and Flavor Art, we single flavor test with 5%. And for the other brands like Flavor Art, Flavora, Inavera, and so on and so forth, you use 1%. Of course, this is a rule, but it's not a religious rule, if you know what I mean. Because maybe some flavors from TPA, they work fine, or the best percentage to taste would be around 1 or 2%. And maybe there is a flavor that needs 3 or 4% for you to know every single aspect in every single note of that flavor. But in this case, you can. Sorry, go ahead.
One place that I frequent quite a bit to come up with percentages to mix single flavors at is on all the flavors. If you go to all the flavors and you click on flavors, you can type in, say, vanilla bean ice cream, and it'll give you what percentage that most people are using that particular flavoring in the recipes at. So there'll be a range, say, probably from around 2% to 5%. So that'll give you a good idea where to flavor test to. Now, if a mixer wants to go even deeper into single flavor testing, some people will mix it at 1%, 2%, 4%, 6%, 8%, and do all those single flavor tests. Now, as a beginning mixer, I wouldn't suggest that. It's too much. Just try to go with a middle ground percentage where you think, or what all the flavors suggest most people use those percentages at. That'll give you a good start.
Okay. Steve, maybe I suggest you that you mix your vanilla bean ice cream. Then we can test it together, and maybe we can write something down here on OneNote.
Okay.
I will stop sharing.
Okay. Okay. So guys, I got this handy dandy new camera, and I'm gonna test it out, mixing up single flavor test. So we're gonna be mixing up.
Attention, guys! This is a world premiere.
World premiere. That's right. Shot down in flames. Okay. So we're mixing up the vanilla bean ice cream from TPA, same company. So I'm gonna switch over my other camera here. I hope this works. Okay, here we go. Can y'all guys still hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay. I'm gonna change this. Okay, so what I normally do is I use these 10 milliliter bottles that I get from dropperbottles.com. They're pretty cheap, and they're really good for mixing single flavors. So this is the way I mix my single flavors. I have my VG. Now I'm max VG, so I'm testing everything with just VG. Most people will mix VG, PG to do their testing. And I suggest pre-mixing that in a bottle like this so that you have it ready to mix with your single flavors. So, what percentage are we going to mix this at? 5%?
I did it 5%, yeah.
Okay.
I followed that 5% rule.
Okay.
In this case.
Okay, so whenever you use your flavorings, you always want to shake them up before you mix them. Okay, so this is the way I do it. I just hit the tare button there, set everything to 0, and I know that 5% of 10 grams is going to be 0.5 grams. So what I do is I simply fill this bottle. Can y'all see that okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up to 0.5. Okay, so that's 0.51. That's okay. That's close enough. And most of the time when you're mixing recipes, you want to hit this tare button to set it back to 0. But I'm not going to do that when I'm single flavor testing. I'm just going to leave that at 0.51, and then I'm going to cap it off with my VG, or if y'all are using VG PG mix, and I'm going to go up to 10 grams.
Another thing that I would like to say at this point is I never use nicotine. Well, I never use nicotine, period. But when I used nicotine, I never did my single flavor tests with nicotine for two reasons. For once, the nicotine changes the flavor of your juice. And the second reason is most of the time I wasn't going to vape all the juice that I made because most of the time it's shitty. A single flavor is nothing that is pleasant to vape. So that way I wasn't wasting any nicotine.
Okay, so
I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I normally don't. I don't mix nicotine in my single flavor test either. I just want to get a good taste of what the flavor is. You know, I'm not concerned about the nicotine.
Yeah, that's the main reason because nicotine changes the taste of the juice. So
yeah,
if you want to taste the flavor, you shouldn't use nicotine.
Yeah. So, do we have any questions in the chat? Feel free to ask any questions in the chat, guys. Just tag us at DIY Mixers Crew so that we can see your questions. So you always want to shake your mixes up really good before you vape them. I see Josh in the chat. Big shout out to Josh. So David in the chat saying that he doesn't think that the nic changes the flavor. I don't know that it changes the flavor.
Oh, it does.
But it does add something to the overall mix. That's just my opinion. Okay, so now we're ready to.
If you put nicotine in the juice, the throat heat and the harshness of the juice is different.
Yeah. So I believe David's just taunting us here. He's tagging us with 4 stars. Okay, so here goes the test for vanilla bean ice cream. The reason that we're testing the vanilla bean ice cream is because the last few episodes we've been working off the TFA vanilla bean ice cream and the TFA strawberry mustard milk. And so I just kind of wanted to keep that consistent with what we're doing in the last episodes. So, Lewis, Russell, did y'all mix this up?
Yeah, I'm vaping it.
Okay.
I was going to say that maybe for over a year, way beyond 1 year, that I haven't vaped vanilla bean ice cream on its own.
Yeah. So this flavoring actually could work in a single flavor recipe. If somebody wanted just to vape this, I mean, this is a really good flavoring.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is sweet. You can sense the vanilla. Vanilla is very present.
Hmm.
It has a good mouthfeel, so it's very creamy.
Now, do any of y'all get like an egginess, almost like a custardy kind of egginess to it?
No, I don't. You know, the taste has some funny things. It is the suggestion, the psychological part of it.
Hmm.
I remember that maybe a couple of weeks ago, someone was saying that lots of people got pepper taste from vanilla bean ice cream,
Hmm.
and I never got a pepper from vanilla bean ice cream. And after that, for a week, I got all I got from vanilla bean ice for every juice that I use vanilla bean ice cream. I was getting that pepper taste. What?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I'm vaping it. I'm vaping it on its own, and I'm getting no pepper, and
Yeah.
it's delicious. You
The
can vape it on its own,
Yeah,
no problem.
the power of suggestion is very real when it comes to vaping. Somebody can say, "Oh, I taste this in this," or "I taste that in that," or somebody will give somebody a juice and says, "Try to guess what it is," and they're like, they vape on it. They can't really pinpoint exactly that flavor, but then once you tell them what it's supposed to be, then they say, "Oh yeah, I can taste that." The power of suggestion is very, very real. So I get that tasting pepper when somebody mentions it, but I don't get pepper from TFA vanilla bean ice cream. Now, if some people do, there's a couple different options out there. You can use Capella vanilla bean ice cream. It seems not to have that peppery taste. You can also use, I think it's Hanson's vanilla bean ice cream, and
The one that has some hype now is Liquid Barnes
yeah,
vanilla ice cream,
yeah, uh,
but never used it.
yeah. I've used
But
it's pretty good.
on my first days when I started mixing, I started this taste. I started with Capella version. But then I like TPA much better, so I stopped using the Capella vanilla bean ice cream, and since then TPA is all I use whenever I want this accent in my juice.
Hmm. So Lewis, can you throw up that one note one more time?
Sure.
So when he gets this up, so once you single flavor test this and you vape on it for a while, you don't necessarily have to write your notes down right then. Okay, while you're watching TV, just vape on it a while. If you taste a note that you maybe didn't taste right away, then you can just scratch on a little piece of paper, maybe what you're tasting. It doesn't have to be like a flavor test and then just move on to the next. And this can be a continual kind of thing. So
Or you remember that with OneNote you can use your phone.
yes, yes. So wherever you are, take it with you to work. Vape on that flavor for a day or two off and on, and just make mental notes of what you're tasting. And when you have these small bottles like that, just keep them in a dark place, and in a month bring it back out and vape on it a while. You may taste something a little bit different because the steeping process can change the flavor and will change the flavor most of the time on your single flavors. So so in this template here, we've got percentage mixed. You would put 5%, obviously. Your PG ratio, if you're doing 70-30,
Let me write it down.
It doesn't matter. Just whatever you want.
Oh, sorry.
And
in my case, I used 70-30.
Mm-hmm.
The date today is the
13th
of December. For me, it's already 14th.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Lewis is in Portugal, so.
For me, it's already 14th.
Yeah. Now,
the atomizer in this.
Yeah, so
I used my Hadley.
And depending on what
I always used the Hadley on this test. So.
Yeah, and depending on what atomizer that you're using, and I definitely suggest a dripper. It's just easier to work with when you're single flavor testing. Depending on the atomizer, it will change the flavor somewhat. So it's pretty important to write down what you tested this out on. The coil build, also the same thing. If you're using some type of a.
In my case, I use. I'm using this Clapton 28.
So we have a
32.
We have a question. It's a little bit off topic, but I'll go ahead and answer it in the chat. Josh Porch is asking, do you have to put Nick in a one shot? Well, a one shot is basically just a mixture of flavors, and we may get into that later what a one shot is, but we're not going to get into it now. But it doesn't have any Nick in it, so if you wanted to mix up a one shot and you wanted Nick, yes, you would have to put Nick in it. Okay, so the watts are pretty important as well.
In my case, I use temperature control. So instead of the power, I'm going to put the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
The ohms is, if I recall, is 0.6.
I've got mine. My coil built so that it reads about a 0.33 ohm.
Mine is 0.32.
Yeah.
So very, very similar.
Mm-hmm.
The aroma, how does it smell?
That's one thing that we didn't really cover. Before you mix it, it's a good idea to open your bottle up and just give it a smell. Some people.
The sense of the.
Go ahead, Lewis.
So I just was going to say the sense of smell and the sense of taste work are very together. So one goes with the other.
Yeah. Now
that's why, for instance, when you have a cold and you can't smell anything, the sense of taste also goes somewhere blind.
Yeah. Now some people will do what's called a back of the hand test, where you just take your juice and put it on the back of your hand and taste it like that. I do that sometimes.
Honestly, I don't. Honestly, I stopped doing it a while ago because I came to the conclusion that it wasn't important to me, because most of the times what I felt in that test was different from what I was going to feel on the vape.
And
so I stopped doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say too. When I first began, I was doing that too, but it's not accurate to what the vaping experience of it is. It can often be way too strong, way too bitter, fiery, peppery, and once you touch that to your tongue and then you try to vape it, it kind of deadens your senses to that flavor. It messes up your palate. So I don't suggest doing that.
I don't do it either.
Yeah. Okay, so with the aroma, just write in what you smell. Are you smelling a creaminess? Are you smelling sweetness? I don't know if you can actually smell sweetness or not. That's more of a taste thing, but Just write down what you smell. And this doesn't have to be a long dissertation on what what a certain vanilla bean ice cream tastes like. It can just be just a few words, one word even, just something that will let you know what it.
Honestly,
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Lewis.
go ahead.
I was
just going to say that honestly, in my case, in these topics, I use 2 or 3 adjectives. I don't. Most of the times, I don't even bother to write full sentences because, when I start doing these notes, I had no intention to share them with the public. So these notes are essentially for my personal use. So most of the times, 2 or 3 adjectives are enough for you to know what you felt when you tasted it.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be complex. Just something that will give you a good idea, something that you can come back to that will say, okay, this flavor tastes like that. I remember, that's what I tasted. Now, some flavorings, most flavorings, in fact, will be what I call linear flavors. So let's just take, for instance, a raspberry. Most raspberries that I've tried has just a linear taste. It's either just sweet and it tastes like a raspberry. You might have a little bit of off note or anything, something like that. But the top note is what is the most is the most prominent flavor that you're tasting from that. So that's what you would write in the top note. Some flavorings, like a lot of the Wonder Flavor line, they actually have different layers in them. So you may get a cream at the bottom. You may get a biscuit or a cookie layer in the middle. And then maybe you have some type of a fruit or a chocolate or something up front. So the top note, the middle note, and the accent note. The accent note would be the bottom note. That's where you would write those in. And you do not have to fill out all of these. You may add some more to this list too. But just write in what you're tasting, and just so that you can go back and reference it later when you start developing your recipes. They'll be easily accessible, and you can index them very well and find out, what flavors that you think will go together well with this. 'Cause there'll be some flavors that you test, and it's like, this tastes like shit, and I will never use it. I mean, that's a fact. There's some flavors out there like that. So it's important that before you start using those types of flavors, that you single flavor test that. And this is the exercise that all of us go through and have been through and are continuing to go through. I try to test at least 2 to 3 flavors a week. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but over a period of months and up to a year, that single flavor test list grows quite large, so that you have a better knowledge of your flavorings. And that's the secret to making really good recipes, is single flavor testing and writing your notes properly. So, with that said, is there anything else, Lewis, that you want to mention? Or Russell?
No, we can.
Oh, sounds like you covered it all, man.
No, then we can. We should just cover sweetness. I think it's very self-explanatory. So you just have to write it's too sweet, it's not sweet at all, and something in the middle. Mm-hmm. Then the accuracy, that means if, for instance, if you're testing an apple flavor, how accurate it is to a real apple. It could be very accurate, or it could be not accurate at all. Mm. You can even come up with some kind of scale or something. Mm-hmm. And then something that Steve already said, but I would like to emphasize, is that you should taste what you're mixing right after the shake, and keep in mind what you're tasting, and then it's important that you taste it after 1 day, after 3 days, after 5 days, after 1 week, and then after 2 weeks, because the taste of the juice is can change. It maybe it doesn't change, but most of the times it changes over the time. Mm-hmm. Some off notes will disappear, some will go strong. Well, it depends. And for you to calculate or to try to figure out what will be the steep time of your final recipe, it's important for you to know how the taste of the single flavor test evolves during time.
Mm. So we have a couple questions in the chat. I think it was, let's see, who was it? Jeffrey Dow was asking about the top note, the middle note, and the accent notes. As it pertains to single flavor testing, let's say for instance that you're testing out Wonder Flavors. What is that one? Nanomi bar or Nanomi bar? Y'all know what I'm talking about? The Wonder Flavors.
Yeah.
Anyway, Wonder Flavors is notorious.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for it to arrive.
Yeah. Okay. So it's a flavor that has several different layers in it. So the main body of that particular flavoring is like a chocolate. That's the middle note. The top note is more of like a maybe a cookie. It's the top note is always like the brightest note in the flavor. That's the first thing that you taste is the top note. Then the middle part is like the essence of the entire mix. The accent note may be a slight peanut on the end. That's what those different notes mean. It's the first taste that you taste, the most upfront. That's the top. And then the middle is normally some type of a cream or it could be a biscuit or a cookie as well. And then the accent note, most flavorings may not have accent notes, but some do. And it could be like a peanut that's just on the end, just a touch, just something that's on the side that helps the overall flavor of that flavoring. So I hope I answered that to your satisfaction. And another question was linear. When I speak of linear, what I mean is some flavorings are just one flavor. And most of those that I've tested out are flavorings that are best used in candies. So if you're making a Jolly Rancher, say you're making a watermelon Jolly Rancher, and you want to test watermelon, that is going to be a linear note. When you vape it, you don't get any creams, you don't get any nuts, you don't get any side notes, middle notes, or anything. It's just straight watermelon. So that flavor is linear. That's what I'm talking about when I speak of linear. So I hope I answered that.
It just means that it tastes the same from front to back.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So, it's watermelon. It's watermelon.
Yeah, it's watermelon. Yeah. So
it could be more accurate or less accurate, but it is watermelon.
Exactly. So that's all I've got to say about really flavor testing and note taking. The secret to doing it is just taking your time with it, doing just a few at a time, maybe 2 3 a week. Do it slowly, and trust me, this will help your mixing ability tremendously, as opposed to just grabbing up some flavors and just seeing what they do with each other. Because until you know that flavor, you really know it, it's difficult to create your own recipes. Now, you can use other people's notes, and it's helpful, but until you really taste those for yourself, it doesn't really hit home. That's when I began, when I started single flavor testing, that's when I began to really understand how to build my recipes. And that's something that we're going to talk about next week, is kind of how to blueprint a recipe, how to get those layers, how to get that top note, that middle note, that's accent note in, and see if we can explain the aspects of that and how you can build on those different layers without putting too many layers in it. That causes your recipe to be muddy. And that's something that a lot of beginning mixers do, is they put too many layers in it because they want a little bit of raspberry, they want a little bit of apple, they want a little bit of grape all in here, and it's too much. It overwhelms the mix itself. You need to simplify it with those layers. So we'll try to talk about that next week, and I hope David will be here next week.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So everything that we've talked about in the past shows, all of the links to everything, the equipment, where to get your VG, your PG, your flavorings, are all in the links in the description below the YouTube. And also, there's something that's coming up this Sunday that I want to tell everybody about. This is huge. This is huge, I say. It's called the Christmas Mix. I think it's called #Christmas Mix. Is that right, Russell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
#Christmas Mix.
#Christmas Mix. There's a lot. It's like, 20, 30 different mixers that have come together, maybe even more than that, that have come together and are going to be doing a show on Wayne Walker's DIY or Die Network, Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have a shitload of stuff to give away. I mean, it is a list. I don't know how much. Russell, have you seen the list?
I've seen the list. There's probably $3,000 worth of product on there right now.
Yeah, I mean it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
There's several flavor lines that people, complete flavor lines like Two Flavora. I want to say Wonder Flavors is on board now, so there's like a chance to win some complete flavor lines. So if you're a new mixer, that's where you want to be right there. Getting free stuff like that. So,
exactly, and DMC DIY Mixers Crew we're donating a $100 gift card to Bull City Flavors. So a lucky winner is gonna win that. We're also going to be offering a Goon LP RDA. David Haney, aka 007 Shake and Vape, is going to donate that. We're going to give that away, and we're going to be raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So everyone that donates to this to St. Jude's will be entered into this drawing. These giveaways, and it's going to be from 7 p.m. until 10. Is that right?
10.
Yeah. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time till 10. And all you have to do is
There's one thing I have to mention, and I'm hoping it's not going to turn anybody off, but they did put a minimum on the donations. So I think it's a $5 minimum, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to find out when I go to the meeting after this show. But last I heard, I think it was a $5 minimum, which is more than fair. That's just because of all this stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable how much stuff is in that pot right now. So, $5 shouldn't. Hopefully, it won't set anybody back if you're getting $1,000 worth of product back in return. So, I mean, it's for the kids. So, I'm hoping everybody in the community comes out and enjoy and helps us out achieve our goal, and just have some good, clean fun. And,
absolutely,
fun, guys.
Absolutely. So we're going to be involved in that, and we hope that everybody will come out and reach deep into their pockets and give to St. Jude's, because really, I mean, it's for a good cause, and we want to give the people who give something back as well, and that's why we're doing this, and that's why a lot of the other DIY mixers are doing this as well. Wayne was going to be the host, I believe. So if nobody else has anything, let's see. Here's one question: Have you single flavor tested by adding concentrates to hot water or tea, for example?
I used to do that. I stopped doing that because it didn't work for me. Because I wouldn't say most of the times, but many times the taste that you get from it is different from vaping. for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I stopped doing that.
Yeah, and I have heard people mention that they could take their flavorings and add it to like a whipped cream and do it that way. Just take a spoonful of it and kind of taste it, but it's not the same unless you vape it. You know, test it the way you're going to be using it. That's the best way to know exactly what that flavor is going to taste like. It's easy. I mean, you saw me mix up one. It took me what? Just a minute or two, especially
a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and I'm slow at it, so you know, David could probably mix it up in 10 seconds. But you know, just trust me on this. Do the work. Single flavor test. Take your notes, and it will make you a much better mixer. And with that said, is there anything else to add?
I think we can wrap it up.
I'm good, man.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. I know this was not your standard show. David wasn't here, and you had to listen to me the whole time mostly, and I apologize for that, and I apologize for the laggy internet as well. But we will see everyone. I don't think that we are going to be having a DMC live show on Sunday since we're doing the Christmas mix later on that evening. I think we're going to cancel that. I don't know if David agrees with that, but I'm just saying that we're going to cancel it. So unless he wants to do it, we're not going to have a show on Sunday at 4:30. But we will be back next week on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Back to the Basics, and we will see y'all then. Thanks for coming, guys. See you, Lewis.
Thank you,
Russell.
All right, guys.
See you. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Chuki beat.